All right, hey, trust you're doing well. I wanted to kick this off. We're going to be doing a series where we highlight the properties that we've sold. So, roughly in the last 18 months, we've sold 10 properties very successfully. And interestingly enough, of course, we know there's different challenges going on in the commercial real estate market. You know, interest rates, inflation have been up dramatically. There's definitely been stressors in the marketplace. There's also been properties that have struggled, even a few foreclosures that have come to the market. So again, an interesting time, no doubt. But we want to break down, you know, how have we successfully done this, and what does that look like? What does it take? So I've, made some notes, and I want to share this with you as we go through it. So we have a property right outside of Atlanta, Mableton, Georgia. The Flats, a smaller property, 42 units. We bought it in July of 21 for $3.5 million. And then just under 2 years, May of 23, so last year, we sold it for $5 million. So it's over $1 million profit during that period of time. So, how did that take place? How were we able to do that when, quite frankly, there's other properties that have struggled? There are people who have sold at a loss of equity. There are deals that are, struggling to get through this high interest rate environment. So I want to break that down to you, and really it's worth celebrating. So first, let's talk about the acquisition phase. And, that's always so critical, is when you're buying the property, right? Like, that's part of what, the difficulties that have arisen in this marketplace is many people bought properties in a wrong way. Now, again, kind of us having been through the market of 2008 and 9, kind of that baptism of fire really taught us with specificity and purpose that you need to buy right. You don't want to be making a mistake on the buy. So we have purchased most of our properties, probably about 75%, through off-market opportunities. Even with it's working with a broker, it's an off-market opportunity. And this was one of those properties. Now, that being said, we also worked together with the seller and bought a 4-property package. So this was 42 units, and we bought 3 other properties as well. And then as a result of that, and again, we own property right down the road from here. As a result of that, we were able to get this property at roughly about $85,000 a door, when other properties were probably trading around $100 a door. So a substantial discount going in, and the property already had a good number of units that had already been updated from the current seller. So now again, this is part of the value proposition of being able to have those relationships, but also to have a known entity. Our company, myself, are a known executor. We're a guy that, we shake on the deal and we get it done, and we perform what we say we're going to do. So, that was critical to the seller, because the seller wanted certainty of execution. And in exchange for certainty of execution, they were willing to take a little bit what you'd call of a lower price. So now think about that. If you're saying $15,000 a door on 42 units is about 600 grand, and so give or take, they were willing to take an overall discount. Now again, we bought 4 properties altogether, so this one didn't stand in isolation. So now, that being said, the next piece that's critical to our acquisition is the due diligence phase. And so this is really a critical piece, because with that, you're able to go in and investigate what's going on at the property. Now, for us, what we do is we walk all the units, literally every single unit. We do a checklist, inspect the condition of the unit, the AC, the water heater, all that stuff. And then we also look at the property itself, the buildings, the foundations, the crawl spaces, the roofs, the drain lines, all of it. So here we also found in the overall inspection about $70,000 worth of things that needed to be done. Some crawl space areas that needed repair, fence repairs, drainage retention issues, and then a couple of stair rails, patios, things of that nature. So during that investigative period, we were able to discover that, and then help to expand our overall construction budget, which was about $300,000. Ultimately, we got it done for probably under $250,000, which was exciting. Now, that being said, during that due diligence period, it's important, because then we are able to renegotiate with the seller if we deem it necessary. In this case, it wasn't, because we already had a discount. And then ultimately, during that same period of time, we're working to secure our financing. And so in this case, we worked with a bank loan on it, and then also applied a rate cap to it, so it gave us some measure of certainty. And the reason for it is we knew as a smaller project, our game plan was to really be in and out of this thing in under 3 years. More likely 2 years was our target, because it's just a smaller project. And so with that, and we'll talk about the management piece, but we would move through it more quickly. And so that's why, one of our early mentors that, probably bought and sold and owned, 15,000 doors, he always said, you want to match the debt to the project. So that's critical, match the debt to the project. So the renovation phase, we made an initial assessment of it that really half of the units need to be further renovated. The other half were already in a good enough renovated condition, which was beneficial to us. We really, as a small property and a small project, there wasn't any significant renovation challenges. One of the things that we looked at doing was moving the office out of a rental unit into the laundry room, and then moving the laundry room into the basement of a unit. Now, we had budgeted to do it, we looked at doing it, but as we entered into the project, we also ascertained that it really wasn't necessary. That we could, keep the laundry unit where it was, move forward expeditiously, and that realistically, that unit that was serving as the office really didn't hurt us in a substantial way in relationship to our overall business plan. And so we were able to save, roughly $75,000 plus on renovation cost, and it not have a dramatic effect on our overall income or have an effect on what we experience. So now again, from the renovation highlights, really, it was pretty cut and dry on this one. It was pretty straightforward where, we're going in, changing out cabinet faces or painting the cabinets, putting in new countertops or resurfacing the countertops, two-tone paint on the walls, new flooring, new light fixtures. At the end of the day, it really does look like a new unit, but at a lower cost. And, our cost targets back then were about $5,500 on those units. That cost has gone up as costs have gone up. So the management phase, is really critical that we talk about too, because, we always do what's called a two-tier process. So let's say, for example, on this project here, let's see, our going-in rents were roughly $800 and $950 on the 2 bedrooms, $800 on the ones, $950 on the twos. We were able to move that across the board to $950, and then $1050 and $1150. There was a couple of 3-bedroom units. We're actually able to go beyond that as well in terms of the rents. But what we do on that is a two-step process. Let's say, for example, this project was smaller, so again, a little bit easier. But what we do is, if somebody's at $800 rent, we'll offer them a renewal. In this case, it was $950, so we just go straight to the $950. Any of those people that say no, move out, we take the unit and renovate it, offer it to the marketplace. Sometimes when we're in a larger delta bump where we're moving from 800 to 1200, we'll take it in a two-step process, meaning the first, we'll give them a renewal for 6 months at 1,000, and then the next renewal comes in and we'll offer it to them like at 1150. In this case, because we were only moving from 800 to 950 or 950 to 1,050, 1,100, we were able to do that right out of the gate. So it made it a little bit easier in the management. Now, we did run into some issues within the county there. This was coming off of COVID. You would have expected that everybody was anticipating the COVID moratoriums ended October of 21. Again, we bought this property July of 21. However, the county continued to run significant delays. So we did have some tenant occupancy issues with eviction, where instead of being able to evict people in a normal window of 60 days, it was taking anywhere from 6 to 7, 8 months in this particular county. So it did make it for a little bit more challenging, because you had to really ensure that you're getting people out as quickly as possible. But through that period of time, roughly speaking, 18 months, even with those challenges with the county, we were able to effectively move forward through that. And then we move into the last part, which is the sale phase. And this is where we're preparing the property for sale. We're retouching up any of the exterior. We've done landscaping. I'm just pulling up the rehab budget here. We did exteriors, landscaping, signage, parking lot, restripe paving, and so just making it look as a nice, fresh appeal. We did that at the outset. And then as we're preparing for the sale, we come in and retouch up the exterior landscaping, give it a fresh look. And then also we make sure that we're also cultivating the financial performance of the property, identifying, what is the best way, working with our brokerage team to optimize the results of the financials for the sale. And then to that end, if we're able to upgrade a unit and then be able to get higher rent, it also proves out that there's a next higher rent available, which in this case there was. And so now that gives us where we have a 42 unit property. We still have a good handful of units that are, renovated, but more in a classic plus fashion. Call it 15 units there that were still in that category. And then you also show that there's an ability to move the rents even beyond that $1,150 to $1,350. And so now the new buyer, it opens up a broader buyer pool. And with this property, we took it in a full marketing process. And how that works is you're on the market for about 30 days. You're marketing to a wide breadth of buyer pool, and then you collect offers in, and then you go into what's called highest and best. And we were able to do that and get ultimately a buyer at $5 million, $120,000 a door, which is really an incredible result when you think about it. We bought the property for 3.5, roughly put in $250,000. There was roughly about $1 million of equity, and we made $1 million in profit. So it's really what I would say is a phenomenal result when you look at the overall results in the spread and what was taking place. And that was done during what has been one of the more difficult times in the commercial real estate space. And so again, it is a result of the things that we've just broken down, the acquisition phase, making sure we had quality renovations that added true value, the meat and potatoes of real management. Again, day after day after day, week after week after week, pushing on the management team, and then properly, being able to market and sell the property in the appropriate time. And the end result is it turns out to a win for our investors and for us. And so this is something that during that same period of time, there was a lot of people losing while we were winning. So again, not that I wish them to be losing, but that's just a result of maybe decisions and market conditions. And so again, we're going to be coming back in and celebrating these 10 properties and kind of breaking down what's going on behind the scenes. This stuff doesn't just happen. It requires expertise, work, energy, focus, team. And so we're going to share all that with you, and hopefully you'll get some good gleanings from it as well. So thank you so much. Have a blessed and victorious week, for this is the week God has ordained for you.